Welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm looking forward to the racing scheduled in Britain on Saturday, the 13th of August, where I'm going to be offering you some three selections for the action at both Newbury and Ripon. So three selections across the two meetings there. If you're new to Sportsbet TV and you're just discovering us, please press the subscribe button just below this screen, and you'll be kept in touch with all my selections going forward. I'll be offering my views at every weekend, offering a select few horses for you, and of course at the big meetings. And next week it's going to be the York Ebor Festival starting on Wednesday. It's obviously going to be on pretty quick ground. Let's hope they're able to water and we get enough runners to make it a proper betting fest, because we've Goodwood aside for the most part and Royal Ascot, we've been starved of some serious betting opportunities really over the last few weeks and months due to the dearth of runners, which of course has become a major problem. And of course the other issues that are going on in racing with the very low prize money. And it was so sad this week to hear that both Harry Dunlop and Joe Tuitt are going to hand in their licenses. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more trainers that are deciding to hoist the white flag and give up. And this is really worrying for racing in Britain. Let's hope that those authorities, some of whom don't appear to be particularly in touch with grassroots racing and your everyday punters and people that go to the races, let's hope they can get their act together quick enough, because if not, racing is going to face a really big crisis when the financial crunch moves on going into the autumn. But anyway, I've managed to sort out three selections for this week, and that is despite the fact that the runners are very limited at many of the meetings. A lot of the big meetings just not getting enough runners to bet each way for three places. And because I don't like to bet in generally in races below class 4 level, I also don't really like nursery handicaps at this time of the year. And I'm loath to get involved in maidens and novice races. It means that opportunities for making selections have been limited. But last week it was the same. We put up three. One of them was a non-runner, unfortunately, Castle Star, but do look out for him wherever he goes. I'm sure he's going to be a major player in the sprinting scene before the end of the year. And then of the other two, well, the one over in Ireland never really got into it, didn't seem to be enjoying the quicker ground than usual. She's in the game. But Anmart over at Haydock, tipped at 11-2, was the subject of a very big gamble and duly ran away with the group race at Haydock. The Rose of Lancaster Stakes under Jim Crowley was hugely impressive. And all the points I made about the horse and the reasons why I thought he could overturn the favourite proved to be spot on. And I hope you were on, if not at the 11-2 that I highlighted, that was eventually available with 4 firms, then at maybe 5-1 or 9-2, whatever. It certainly will have made you a profitable weekend on that basis. Now, I'm going to move on. We'll have plenty of news for you, possibly even before the start of the York Ebor meeting. A very big development here with me, Paul Alster. But I'll come to that as and when we're able to present that to you. But I'm presenting you now with our three selections for Saturday. And the first of them is at Newbury in the 120. It's a 1.25 mile handicap, a class 4 contest. And this is a race run on good to firm ground, of course. And there are the dead 8 runners. So let's hope we don't get any non-runners or withdrawals, because we want those each way for at least the 3 places. Now, William Haggas, of course, having a brilliant season, but everything he seems to run in a half-decent handicap seems to go off favourite or close to it. Now, he's got one here called Frantank, which is forecast at around 2-1 favourite, scrambled home in a Goodwood maiden in April and then was last of 4 on its handicap bow at Sandown in mid-July. Now, to me, on the bare form, this is a false price. If it was with a more run-of-the-mill trainer, it would probably be double the odds. Now, you have to really respect William Haggas. He is brilliant and he's having a wonderful season. But I do think this horse, at the time of this recording, mid-morning on Friday, is too short a price for what he's done. Then you've got Rafe Beckett's Definite, who won at Haydock over 1.25 miles in a handicap in June, then was second in a 3-runner race at Nottingham last time out. off its current mark. Question with definite is whether it will handle the quicker ground. That is one that will only be answered on Saturday at 1:20. Rogue Rocket for Tom Clover. Well, he's got no problems with the ground. He's won on good to firm. That was over a mile at Salisbury last month. Has been beaten since. But will he see out the extra quarter of a mile here in what is a fair race? And then the other one that I very nearly tipped here, actually, I've got to be honest, is Paul Cole's General Lee, who won over 9 furlongs on good to firm ground in a handicap last August. He's also won over the mile and a quarter. Had a couple of runs this year and done better than his finishing position suggests. Seemed to rather lose his action a bit at Goodwood last time out, and he was rolling around like a drunk at chucking out time. They've put a £7 claimer on who's a bit useful. He's going to be a fair price, but I've decided in the end to go with one that's actually going to be a bigger price. And the horse in question is called Postwick, trained by Harry Eustace and the mount of the Derby-winning jockey Richard Kingscote. Now, Postwick is a maiden. Now, I don't often tip maidens in handicaps, but this one's had the 5 races. It's run into a place once. That was on its penultimate start, which was over at Sandown. And that was in the maiden won by Honiton. Honiton, who went on to be just about favourite at Royal Ascot the time after. And Honiton ran away with it. Poor old Postwick ran into a real tartar on that day, but ran his race, a perfectly decent effort. And they decided to go up to a mile and a half in a handicap at Brighton last week. And he clearly didn't see out the mile and a half, and he wasn't knocked about in the final furlong. Now, earlier this term, Postwick ran a couple of really promising races in novice races at Wolverhampton and Chester. Now, those are both tight left-handed tracks, and the horse probably wasn't ideally suited by those sharpish tracks. This more conventional track with a long straight, a galloping straight where Richard Kingscote can get him balanced and running, I think is going to be ideal for Postwick. The ground, I think, will be absolutely okay. And he's been dropped £2 since that run at Brighton 9 days ago. So I think he is better than the bare form. I think he will probably be overlooked because he's a maiden going up against fair handicappers. But I do think that the 14-1, 1-4, 14-1 each way, best price at the time of this recording with Bet365, who are offering it for 3 places, I think that's a sporting bet. And I'd rather have Postwick at 14-1 each way than Frantank, the favourite, to win at 2-1. So Postwick is my choice in the Newbury 120 race. Now we go to Ripon, to one of my favourite races of the year, the Great St Wilfrid Handicap. It is offered £2.50 at Ripon. It's over 6 furlongs. This year, just 15 runners. The going is good to firm. Now, it's rare that the Great St Wilfrid attracts less than a maximum field of 20. And over the last decade, the consolation race has also attracted plenty of runners. But it's a sign of the times that, remarkably, they only managed to come up with a total of 15 runners, meaning they've had to cancel the consolation race and have all of them running in the Great St Wilfrid. That means that quite a few are running out of the handicap. Now, this is remarkable for a £100,000 sprint handicap on a Saturday. It really is ridiculous that there just aren't enough runners to give the normal size of field and the normal kind of betting opportunities. And I know the authorities, those in charge at Ripon, who do a really good job. It's a great race course. They're just tearing their hair out. What more do you have to do? Put up big prize money on a Saturday for a hot sprint handicap, and they've come up with just the 15. But I know most firms are paying at least 4 places anyway. Now, one horse who would have really had a massive chance in the consolation race and that I was looking forward to tipping was Mark's Choice, who is a course and distance specialist. And I think he would have had a massive chance, but he now runs from £10 out of the handicap. They put on a £7 claimer who's inexperienced, but that will help. But from what I've seen, I'm not sure he's going to be able to claim his full allowance because he'd have to go down to something like 7 stone 8. And I don't think he's ever done lower than 7 stone 11. Now, the horse is returning from a wind operation, has a visor on first time. He's also making his debut for the Adrian Keatley stable. So Mark's Choice, even out of the handicap, I expect to possibly run a big race. And I've already noted that early 28 and 33-1 on Thursday is gone, and he's the best price kind of 22s. for Mark's choice, but it's hard to recommend a horse, in all seriousness, from £10 out of the handicap. Now, the big names in the race are very familiar to us, the likes of Black Rod and Summergan, who were 7th and 5th respectively in the Wokingham handicap at Royal Ascot in June. Black Rod is the forecast 4-1 favourite, Summergan at 7-1. And along with last year's winner of this race, Just Another Bottle, and he's gone up £13, but has won over the course and distance as recently as June. They should all go well. Summergan, of course, ran a perfectly sound race in the Stewards' Cup at Goodwood a few weeks ago, went 9th of the 28 there. And he really is a credit to David O'Mara. He's a horse I adore, Summergan. Black Rod, who, of course, was 3rd in the Air Gold Cup last year, so big field handicaps won't bother him, although 15 runners is hardly the kind of cavalry charge we see at Ayr. He, of course, won a very hot sprint handicap over 6 furlongs at the Guineas meeting at Newmarket and is still more or less unexposed, I would say. Now, Tim Easterby has won 2 of the last 5 runnings of the Great St Wilfrid with the likes of Stakston and Matmu, and he runs a couple here, Snash, who's won 2 of his last 3, and Hyperfocus, who's been in good form all term, except for last time out at Ripon when he was only 4th of 5. He might have just had an off day, as many of us do now and then. And along with a number of others, these horses you'd have to give a coat of looking at. But I think one that's going to be overlooked here in the betting, unless people latch onto my choice and shorten it up, is a horse called Al Simo, a mare actually, trained by Stephanie Hollinshead and the mount of red hot Jason Hart. Stephanie, of course, I think she's the granddaughter of the late, great Reg Hollinshead, who was a training legend. And Jason Hart, well, congratulations to him for his first Group 1 winner, riding Highfield Princess to victory for John Quinn out in France last Sunday. He's always been a terrific jockey, Jason Hart. Lovely to see him striking at the top level now. Steph Hollinshead is quite shrewd, you know. She runs a lot of horses out in France, maybe not as many in Britain, and because of that, she's got a low profile here. But this horse is an absolute credit to her, a 5-year-old mare who in April of last year won at Doncaster, a little 6-furlong handicap on good to firm ground off 57. That's a very low handicapper's mark. But she went on to win 4 times last year, did Al Simo, 3 of them on good to firm ground, mind. She really likes the ground. And she ended the season on a mark of 80. So Stephanie had improved her by £23, and that is no mean achievement. On to this year, and Al Simo won at Ripon over the course and distance in May off 78. Then she was 3rd to a horse subsequently placed in a Group 3, that was Gale Force Meyer, in a red-hot race at York. That was on good ground, which is probably not as fast as Al Simo likes it ideally. But since then, she's found her quick ground and she's won her last 2 races, both on the July course at Newmarket, both times impressively over 6 furlongs, and the last time comfortably off a mark of 87. She's now up to 90. So Steph has improved her £33 since last April in 15 months. So that is terrific training. Now, it has to be said in mitigation that all of Al Simo's wins have come in single-figure fields, but that's not her fault. She's only beat what was up there against her, and she ran perfectly well in a big field against Gale Force Meyer. So I'm more than hopeful that in this red-hot handicap, being in terrific form, she can improve again. And I love it when a mare hits form and really improves. They can keep on finding more and more. She's got the good to firm ground that she likes. And because she is with basically an unfashionable trainer in Steph Hollinshead, I think she's overpriced. And the best price available at the time of this recording, which is at 11 o'clock on Friday morning, is the 18-1 offered for 5 places with William Hill each way. Al Simo 18-1. Now, there are others still going 16s, the likes of Bet Victor, Sporting Index. Sky Bet are offering 6 places at 16-1. But interestingly, the likes of Betfair and Paddy Power and Betfred, they're only going 12s. So they obviously take a rather better view of Al Simo than the likes of William Hill and Bet Victor and others. So Alsimo to spring a bit of a surprise against the likes of good old favourites Black Rod, Summergand, and Just Another Bottle in the Great St Wilfrid handicap at Ripon at 250. Let's hope it's a really good race. And then my third and final selection for you on Saturday, so a chance for your patents and round robins here, is at Newbury, the 335, the best race in Britain on Saturday, the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes. And thankfully, the field has held up. We've got 10 runners declared over the 7 furlongs on the good to firm ground. And once again, William Haggas has the likely favourite, around a 3-1 chance here. Tiber Flow, a 3-year-old who was 8th in the Commonwealth Cup last time out, the Group 1 race to Perfect Power. That was a pretty good effort, you'd have to say. He's rated 107, has won over this trip twice on the all-weather during the winter, and won a listed race at Newbury in May over 6 furlongs. So an interesting 3-year-old who does seem to be going the right way. Whether he should be favourite is another question. He wouldn't be favourite in my book. My favourite, if I were making a book here, would be Pogo. The Charles Hills trained Pogo, who's an older horse, tough as teak, third in a Group 2 at Goodwood last time out. He's won 2 Group 3s already this season. He is having a terrific season, and he'll be a hard horse to pass. We know he's going to run his race. He's rated on the official figures a better horse than Tiber Flow. Another horse who's done really well this season is Chindit for Richard Hannon. He won the Group 2 Summer Mile at Ascot last month, and on his 3 runs around that has come up against Baid each time, which is an impossible task, of course, over 7 furlongs in a mile actually. And they've all been in Group 1s, but he did finish 3rd at Newbury in the Lockhinge Stakes Group 1 back in May, so he goes well at the track. And, you know, Chindit and Pogo, surely you'd possibly fancy them more, or I would anyway, than Tiber Flow. A horse I put up earlier in the season was Double or Bubble. Chris Wall trains this mare, who won the Group 3 at Newmarket over 6 furlongs in April, and has run 2 very solid races in the Red Hot Group 1 Platinum Jubilee at Royal Ascot, and a good run in the July Cup, staying on last time out. She's won at 7 furlongs. Will she appreciate the step back up to the trip, having been sprinting of late? We'll soon find out. And the second of Richard Hannon's runners, with Holly Doyle on board, is Happy Romance, rock solid group form throughout the season. So those are the horses to the fore in the betting. But I think we could have a surprise winner here. And that is a horse trained by Roger Varian in the mount of Andrea Atzeni, called Dubai Poet. Now, Dubai Poet, a bit like Tiber Flow, is a 3-year-old up against the older horses, and is actually rated £2 higher on official figures than the favourite, has a mark of 109. Now, Dubai Poet won over the course and distance in a novice stakes last September, and then went on to be 3rd in a Group 3 over a mile at Newmarket, and that was to no less a horse than the mighty Caribus, of course, a classic winner this season. So that is very, very hot form. On his final start, he ran in the Horace Hill Stakes, but that was on good to soft ground, and this horse does not act when there's give in the ground. Now, this season, Dubai Poet started off finishing 2nd in a good listed race at Newcastle on his reappearance over a mile in April. And then he appeared not to stay when they had a crack over a mile and a quarter in the D Stakes. He was still going pretty well, a furlong and a half out. Was 2nd inside the final furlong, but faded. That again was on good to soft ground, and I think the trip found him out. But last time out, a much better effort over a trip which I think is right for him. And that was the 7 furlongs at Royal Ascot in the Jersey Stakes. Group 3, of course, against good horses at this intermediate 7 furlong trip. He was 3rd to Noble Truth, who's very classy. And if you watch the race, he was drawn on the far side of the track, and all the action took place towards the near side. And Andrea Atzeni had to manoeuvre his horse across the track, losing lengths in the process, of course. He actually, I think, did get a ban of 5 days, because I think he caught a bit of a schmozzle in behind as he came across. But the horse still had energy to run really well and finish 3rd in that race. You have to think if he'd been drawn near the horses who fought out the finish, the 1st and 2nd, he would have gone very close to winning it. So Dubai Poet, who's drawn perfectly well this time, has got his optimum trip of 7 furlongs. I think they've found the key to this horse. 7 furlongs, good to firm ground, strong gallop. I think it will all suit, and he could surprise. He is still unexposed. He's rated higher than the favourite. Roger Varian operating at a 24% winning strike rate at the moment. And Andrea Atzeni has been riding his fair share of winners without a doubt of late. So I think the 12-1 offered each way at the time of this recording for 4 places with both Sky Bet and William Hill is a pretty fair offer. And I commend Dubai Poet to you to spring a surprise, probably at the expense of my old pal Pogo, and chinned it as well. In the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes, the Newbury 335. Those are my 3 for Saturday. I'll be doing an each way round robin on the 3 of them. You, of course, can make up your own mind as to whether or not they're worthy of your money. I wish you the best of luck, and I remind you that we will be back with bulletins each of the 4 days at what promises to be a wonderful York Ebor Festival, truly one of the great racing festivals in the world. We'll be with you at Sportsbet with our selections. We may also have some really big news for you prior to the start of the meeting. We'll just have to see how things pan out. But for now, from me, Paul Alster, here at Sportsbet, try and stay cool if you can over this scorching weekend. Enjoy your racing, and I'll look forward to speaking to you next week with the action from York. Bye-bye for now.